Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. This is a little bit earlier than typical. We usually do this every Saturday, but today is Tuesday, so we're gonna get it done because I'm gonna be away for the weekend. And we have some, newsworthy information that transpired over the weekend and even from yesterday. So as we all know, I'm gonna get right into it. I'm here with Melik, Tyrone, and Hollister. We have a guest that should be joining us shortly or later. His name is Renaldo. That's one of my homies from like when I was a kid, like probably in eighth grade. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully he'll join us later on. If not, then he'll be on the next podcast. But yes, so we're getting into the Kyrie Irving thing. We mentioned it briefly last week, or last episode when we spoke about Kyrie Irving and his situation, and everybody was speculating like what was going on. Why was he not, with the team? And it kind of put that chemistry thing to bed for me because at this point now, even though I'm still a faithful person, I believe Brooklyn will be fine. It's really showing that there's some level of chemistry issues besides the offensive stuff when they're on the court that is going on as far as the team as a whole. So, as you guys know, quite a bit of my friends was hitting me up and sent me videos allegedly showing Kyrie Irving in a club in New Jersey partying with his sister. 'Cause I think his sister just turned 30, and it don't seem like he was heard about this Capitol joint. It seemed that he was partying it up with his sister, and I know he's very close with his family. His dad's birthday is also today, so I guess it was like a bigger event. But I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on it, and then we'll take it from there. So Hollister,
Right. So my whole take on the Kyrie being out celebrating his birthday.
Hollister, before you continue, yeah, because we couldn't barely hear you. It's like very low, so we can kind of either get closer to the mic or speak a little bit louder.
All right, that's better now.
A little bit, sound a little bit muffled, but yeah, it's better.
All right. So my whole take on the Kyrie situation, celebrating his sister's birthday and being away from the team and saying personal reasons, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, come on, you messing up your whole chemistry with the team. You being away from the team. You're not communicating well with the coach. And you out here messing up the protocols. The NBA have a whole bunch of protocols already set in stone. And it's like, come on, you messing up people's fantasy team. You messing up me as a Brooklyn fan is upsetting, it's frustrating, it's annoying. You play some games and then you just disappear for a period of time. It's like, come on, what's going on? Say something, or now when you come back, you're gonna have to address the media about the whole situation. You can't avoid it then. But it's like, dude, you messing up people's fantasies, you messing up fans, all kinds of stuff. Like, get it together. It's ridiculous, man. He's pulling the James Harden right now.
Yeah. Tyrone and then Melik.
You guys can hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, about what he just said about pulling a James Harden. Nah, I wouldn't say he's pulling a James Harden for the simple fact of he said it was personal reasons, and right now he's out there partying with his sister for a birthday. James Harden literally had the attitude like, I don't want to be here, I want to be traded. So he already knew he didn't want to be there. So he kind of, he was acting out. Neither player was right in what they're doing. But Kyrie is committed to this franchise. Well, we think he is. And he signed long term. This is where he wanted to be. And then you're saying personal reasons, quote unquote. People are alleging that it has something to do with the Capitol situation with the riots. And then we turn around today and see, like a birthday, you're at a birthday party, you're doing your little two-step dancing and everything, which is sister, and everybody's wondering, like, what are these personal reasons? Because you didn't look upset in the videos. So it's almost like, okay, now we don't care about personal, quote unquote, personal reasons anymore. Now you got to say something as if because you owe it to the organization, you owe it to the fans. And I know with Menelik, who's going to speak next, you owe it to the fantasy players. People put money on the line for these fantasies. It's one thing if you heard you got personal reasons, got some family, blah, 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 maybe some trouble at home. That's one thing. But to be out for almost a week, but I think it's almost a week, and the first video people see of you after you've been out for so long with personal reasons is you're dancing at a birthday party. It don't look good for him. It don't look good on the Brooklyn Nets because they excused it. It don't look good on, the play. Well, of course, the players. The coaching staff is just bad all around. I think Kyrie has the most to be blamed. I think he has the most. I think Brooklyn should be blamed the most because look, they just said now he has to clear protocol now. So it's another 7 days he's out. Something's not right, and the Nets also are not looking real good in this situation because they allowed him his this time. I don't know what it is, and I think he owes it to people now to come out and say what his reason was because this does not look good at all, at all. Yeah, I mean he's out there smile. Somebody with personal reasons is not going to be sitting there smiling and dancing. I'm sorry, I don't care whose birthday it is. If you have personal reasons and then you're out there with no, I wonder if these NBA players, yeah, they're millionaires, but I wonder if they have common sense. At least pretend, knowing that there's a picture, a video there. I think I said this before with Harden. At least pretend while the cameras are rolling to put on a mask. We know you're not going to wear the mask most of the time. We all go to somebody's house. We take our mask off, or we'll have it on, but we don't really keep it on the whole time. We know you're not going to be there, but at least when the cameras are rolling, and you know people are going to film you, wear a mask. As soon as they put the phone down, take it off. But you got to show that it's for show. You dancing, you're partying with no mask on. What do you think they're gonna say? It doesn't make any sense. I don't get with these guys. Every one of them. I think honestly, Lou Williams is the only one that wore a mask when he did his thing in the bubble. So these guys, man, they don't have common sense, to be honest with you, man. You think because you with your family, they still. How many athletes have you seen where they've complained about, oh, they were at a gathering with no mask? They don't care if it's your family. Wear the mask. Because guess what? You're the one that's going to get in trouble, not the rest of them, just you. So he got some explaining to do, and a lot of these players, they need to wake up, man.
I agree. Menelik?
All right. So yeah, I mean, I think Tyron Hollister made some good points. I'm gonna look at it. I'll look at it from multiple viewpoints. So like, all right, on the one hand, right, we still don't know the full story, right? So it's possible that it could have been a combination of things. Like one, it could have been something to do with the Capitol, and then also maybe because his sister and his father's birthdays came up, and maybe he felt like with the past year, he just really wanted to celebrate from him. Or 30 is like a milestone for people in their lives, this, that, and the third. Once again, I'm not saying that it negates everything else. Like on the one hand, he plays for the NBA. He agreed to follow certain rules and protocols to play, right? And he's not clearly, like, even if there was something else going on too in the midst of this personal reason break, he also has been in a public space without a mask on, and he did not let the league know, as far as we know, or what's been reported so far. So that is in violation. So when you get into those kind of areas, it's important because, all right, yes, he did some things that you could say, all right, at least he did that. One, he communicated with his teammates, and afterward, Steve Nash and I'm assuming the Nets organization, they said they support him, right? So having that support and communication is important, and it helps. But at the same time, to what Tyron was saying too, you make the organization look bad in certain other issues. Because once again, now if they were trying to maybe do something on the sly where he get to be in a public space, go to a club, and then come back, and they don't know that, and he don't go through quarantine, then that's not right, because now you putting other players and other people at risk, right? It's one thing if you're gonna be like, this is important to me, whatever the reason, whether it's because of the Capitol, whether it's because your sister and your father's birthday, or whatever, to just at least be transparent. You don't have to necessarily give the reason if you want to keep it personal, but at least let the league know, or people who need to know, I'm not going to be back for 14 days. Let's say if that's what is required or something like that. That way, one, I mean, to a lesser extent, I mean, I got him on fantasy like Tyron was speaking to earlier, right? So every day it's like, oh, is he going to be back? Is he not going to be back? Until now they're giving a little clearer messaging. right? But I know in the grand scheme of life, okay, my fantasy team is not the most important thing, but it still is. You're part of an organization and it's your job, right? And these things are a part of what helps propel the popularity of the NBA and helps you make money, this, that, and the third. So, having a certain level of transparency, like I said, even if you don't want to tell people, all right, I just want to celebrate with my family for their birthdays, this, that, and the third, at least be like, okay, I'm going to be away, or I might have to be away, or I'm going to have to, quarantine or take tests on my return, whatever it is, just because you agreed and playing in the season to follow these rules. And, I'm sure we'll get into that later, but I think that also speaks into why the NBA recently had to try and adjust, some of the rules or the protocols they have in place because of COVID. So overall, as far as Kyrie, like I said, we don't fully know, just to be somewhat like a player advocate, we don't fully know what the personal reasons meant to him and what he communicated to the team and others. But even with that, I also feel like you have to acknowledge the business aspect, the NBA aspect of it. And, you're out there and things are going to get out. So maybe it was supposed to be a close knit group of people that he felt wouldn't be filming him or something, to like the stuff Tom was speaking to. But even in that regard, most of the time something is gonna get out. Whether it's somebody just hating, somebody who cool with you, they talking to somebody else like, yeah, we was at this thing for Kyrie's sister. Yeah, he was there. Oh, because everybody talking about somebody's gonna, if they have any footage, any evidence, someone's gonna put it out there. And I know, and that shouldn't necessarily even be the focus, because if you were trying to like get away with that and then come back without having to go through the protocols, that's not right either, because you putting other people at risk, and that's what you agreed to do. So I understand it's hard. There's a lot of sacrifices, and it's fine. That could have been more important to you, and you could have worked that out with your teammates. Like, I'm gonna miss 10, 15 games, but then, I mean, days, whatever, but then just be upfront about the fact that you're gonna be out, whether you go into details or not. So yeah, that's just my take on it.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I agree with that part, man. I look at it like you said. I mean, like, from this whole perspective, it is difficult. It is tough for me. And like you said, I'm trying to look at it from the human aspect of it. We all human beings. We all have our moments. We all have different things that we might value or feel important to us, right? And he probably knows, like, look, man, my sister turning 30. Like I said, there's a tight knit family between the relationship between him and his father. I mean, his sister, his mom died when he was young. So, there's a lot of things going on emotionally for that family that we just don't know. You know what I mean? And like, I could really see from some of the little small snippets of like interviews with him and his dad and his sister, how tight they were. I remember I watched this video where him and his sister did a surprise thing and they rebuilt like their old house for their father because his dad didn't want to move. They liked the house and they kind of renovated it. He was like about to go to tears because his dad kept like his first pair of high school sneakers and stuff like that. So like little things like that. So I say all that to say that, yes, I understand it, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, as a professional, especially when it comes to like, this season, your teammates, the whole commitment that you made as an NBA player, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be more, forthcoming with the information. You can't be like, oh, I have personal reasons and stuff like that. And I don't really look at it like personal reason. It got to be something that's like bad all the time. It could have been like his personal reason, like he wanted to spend his birthday with his sister. He just probably didn't want to say, I'm not going to come to this game because of my sister. So he probably figured, look, I'm going to do the mature thing, not play and put my teammates at risk in the sense where I got to go through the protocol. I'm just not going to play. I'm just going to make sure I'm straight for my sister's situation, help her set up and do her party. And then after that, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? It's still not right, but that was his whole mentality. Maybe he was tight at first about the whole situation with the Capitol, but I feel like with Kyrie, especially how like his demeanor and different things like that, I watch little things with him. He's mainly about like transcending the typical thing of like players and thinking about life and like looking at basketball as just art and it's not that serious in a sense. You know what I mean? So for people like us who watch the games, people like us who are fans and stuff like that, in his opinion, yes, we do have a role to play, but at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about him and his joy and his family. So I can respect that to a certain degree. I can understand that. Look, a lot of these players, they don't really owe us anything for these fantasy joints either, because like, hey, it wasn't their fault that people decided to try to make money off them playing and betting on games and different things like that. That's just a business that came amongst that. And as fans, we want that. Okay, when KD wasn't playing, I was tight. You know what I mean? Whatever. But at the end of the day, I can respect some of that. However, I agree with all of y'all. You have to come out now and say it. So the more you try to circumvent this whole narrative that, you're a toxic person and you're not good as not a good team guy, and you always got some extra issues, you actually compound that by doing these things, not being, upfront with the information, not being transparent, not being, available for certain things, and doing these things that you might say that you're eccentric, but it's still not right. So it is a shame. Like I said, I'm a net fan first, before, even with the fantasy team stuff, and it is kind of messed up seeing that, especially knowing how hard the team is trying to, get things together. Steve Nash don't know what's going on half the time. You know what I'm saying? Because you chew, they don't know what to say, how to say it. Like Malik said, they might have knew that he was going to do it. Thanks. What's up, Renaldo? How you doing, man? Thank you for joining, man. I'm glad you're here. So I want to let you jump into this real quick. We just talking about Kyrie and what he was doing. So yeah, so we're gonna let you get into that. I'm just gonna wrap my statement up, and then you can dive right in on that Kyrie and the video stuff. But yeah, Steve Nash and them, they probably did know, but now they try to cover from, and now they can't because it was exposed. So it is what it is. That's just my take. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome my boy Renaldo. Knew this man for a very long time, like a brother. So I'll let him jump in here. I'm glad you can make it, and you can talk about your boy Kyrie.
We talk about the enigma that's Kyrie, and my biggest complaint with everything is that he's not clear. He's not clear. He's not clearly like telling people what he's doing. It's not like okay, NBA is a job, but it's not like a regular job. You know what I mean? Like people,
Facts.
he doesn't know me anything, right? If he got stuff going in his personal life, it is what it is. He doesn't owe me like an in depth explanation. But I think what he does owe people is clarity, because it's like we're paying into this thing. We're buying league passes to see him. His sneaker is one of the most popular sneakers out there, especially among kids. Like people invested in him in ways they're not invested in most, and that's all predicated on how he does in the basketball court.
Yeah.
That's what we get out of it. That for our investment, we get performance on the court. So when we're not getting that, obviously our relationship with him is tarnished. So and plus, if he didn't want to play this year, that's a roster spot that could have went to somebody else. I mean, like, I know money doesn't solve everything, but it solves a lot of things. He's getting a lot of money to play, so yeah, I think you have to be a lot clearer, because it's not fair. It's not fair to your fans. You got half the country complaining about they picked him high in the draft, and then now he's useless to them for one reason or another. It's just inconvenient, especially if you're in our league. Imagine paying $100 for a league. Now you're depending on Kyrie to carry you through. You already figure to miss him for a few games because of injury or whatever have you, but him just not wanting to show. I mean, like, I don't think that's without context. That's not a good enough reason. And the problem with him not explaining himself is that he just had a track record of doing weird stuff. So if you're gonna get mad at the media, you don't like your perception. You're upset with how everybody treats you. But if you're not gonna be clear about things, you bring it on yourself. Like, there are plenty of other players that have problems with this, but they're playing through it. They use their media availability to talk about what the problems are, talk about what they want to see done, and then they still playing. I'm not telling them he has to do it. Everybody is different, but at least be clear. If you said from the jump, like, yo, I don't feel like I should be playing basketball right now. There's too much going on. I'm not comfortable with this, and I'm clearly not comfortable with what's going on in the country right now. I don't want to play. Then it wouldn't matter if he was at his assistant, because he already told you why he's not playing. Nobody would care. But absent a real explanation, all we gotta
Mm.
do is left to speculate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like you said, you came in like on the tail end of my piece, like when I was saying, and I was agreeing with pretty much what you were saying, is like, look, he could say it was personal, and like it could have been because of the capital thing, could have been a lot of things that's going on with with our nation, but it could also been the fact that maybe he was like, yo, it's personal. I'm close to my family. I want to celebrate with my family. I don't feel like going through the protocol. I don't feel like doing this. I mean, I don't know, like you said, but it leaves us to speculate. Like, we don't know exactly what's going on with Kyrie Irving. And it is like, a messed up situation because like you said, you got other people invested, even though like we all said he don't owe us anything. Like, yeah, we trying to make money off of these things. We trying to have fun fantasy wise and different things like that. That's on us. But at the same time, as a professional, I can't miss my job. You know what I mean? Because I don't feel like going in, or I don't like what's going on in the world. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't have that luxury. And like a lot of times I feel a lot of these players, yes, you do a great job, you do a great service, you might do a lot of charitable things, but at the end of the day, you still have a job to do. You know what I mean? And despite how you might feel about certain things, if you don't give that clarity, you kind of like rub people the wrong way. And like you said, he has this track record from all the teams he's been with, and even the interviews, to be like an outspoken, kind of weird, eccentric type of dudes. And you're not helping your situation by continually doing these things and not being clear about what you mean, not being clear about what you say. And you can't get mad at the media or people that's saying like, "Oh, Kyrie's this, Kyrie's that," when you're not defending yourself or explaining yourself well enough to do that. So I agree with all y'all perspectives. You know what I mean? And now it leads to what's going on right now in the league right now with this whole postponement of the games. I think they had a vote to change a lot of the rules. I think they was going to vote to see to hold the season back for like 7 to 14 days. I think they decided not to. But what do y'all think about? Do y'all think they should have a bubble again? Do you think they should figure out a way to, I know they kind of like getting rid of practice and different things like that. What do you guys feel like? What would be your perfect scenario how they should handle this COVID thing? So Ronaldo, since you're a guest and you're here, I'll let you go first, and then we can bounce it around from there.
Well, I mean, the bubble is impossible. It's too many games. It would be too long, and then and nothing for nothing. The bubble basketball was just weird. Like, old boy in Denver was played like a superstar in the bubble, and he hasn't been the same player since. So the bubble's out of the question. And then some of these arbitrary rules are ridiculous. You can, like, I think it was Ramona Shelburne said, "I don't want to be the NBA security guy. They got to ask these players how long they've known the how long they've been following this chick on Instagram."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
cause it said he had a long-standing relationship. It's like, yeah, I have a. I mean, like, what do you expect these players to do? They're on the road, they're traveling. Yeah, the groupies are in now. The bubble is over. The groupies are in. So,
Facts.
so it's like, it's wild out here now. So, I think they should have taken a break. Told everybody stay home. What I mean, you're already in practice, so you should be in shape right now. Take the 2 weeks. Get the let this thing breeze through, because the most disturbing thing to me, they're saying that like several players have tested positive for it again. So they have played that tested positive in March, that tested positive again. So
Wow.
it's very rare for someone to catch COVID twice, but it is possible. So you can clearly see that this is a driver for the infection and for the spread. So they got to do the due diligence on this, because for a lot of these guys that are healthy, they'll be just fine. But there were a few players that had issues with, like Mo Bamba. He was a serious case. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to be the last one. But also, the effects of COVID, if it actually hits you, if you get a different strain that hits you harder, your lungs, your heart, that leaves you with lasting impacts. Like, an infection could be career ending. Like, I'm looking at Michael Porter. I've never seen somebody get quarantined in quarantine. So I'm hoping that he's okay. But his history's been a little frail, and I hope he ain't catch something he can't recover from.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so for them to try to do something similar to like a bubble or try to get these players restrictions, I feel like it's going to be extremely difficult more now because the players are like, they're on their own. They're back at their homes, they're at home arenas, they got their training facilities. To try to put them back in a whole closed environment again is going to be real difficult. And I feel like a lot of the players will also opt out to not finish the season or not go to, whatever bubble situation they might try to do. And also, I think I was watching the jump today. They were saying that Adam Silver was like, they can't go to parties, they can't go to family gatherings. There's a whole bunch of rules they're making now for the players, and then also too, they got to worry about the contract tracing of this, because I know they said like after the games, the players can't do the handshakes or they can't talk to each other no more, and things like that. It's just
it's becoming a lot. The bubble was easy, I get it, but now it's like there's only so much they could really do. I understand they trying to protect everybody as well too, but these players also have lives outside of their jobs as well too. So, and they also have kids and things like that. So you can't really put too much restrictions on them. And also, I get it, they trying to protect everybody as well too. But it's gonna be interesting to see how things go moving forward.
Yeah, Menelik.
Yeah. So, like Hollister was saying, they were fantastic with the bubble. Not one single COVID case. They were able to not have to, postpone games and all this other stuff that's been going on. But I feel like now that they opened that door of not being in a bubble, and the fact that once again before the bubble people had a chance to opt in and opt out in a very clear kind of way, for them to try and now institute that hard of a lockdown, I just think it will cause a lot of issues and confusion. And yeah, people will opt out, or they probably just won't really be able to go through with it at this point of the season without taking a break to make something that drastic of a change. So, I mean, as far as some of the new measures, it's a balance, because yeah, they're human beings, they have families, everybody's dealing with this as well. They have families that they have to take care of, and they got kids, and their kid might go to a remote school, or their kid might not go to remote school, right? So then it's like, it's just so many factors that they don't have control over too. Granted, we have seen some examples of people maybe not taking it as serious from the surface. If we feel like, oh, this person is just going to party, or they just bringing groupies back to the room, some people might feel like, all right, well, is it that serious or not? But the NBA is in a tough position. They have a lot of coaches, older coaches, and other people too, that are putting their faith in the league and the players to, not put them at risk too, in addition to the players themselves being at risk and their families and things like that. So it's tough. You want people to be safe. I think the league tried their best to be as much as they had some rules that were hard to follow. I think they gave the players a lot of kind of wiggle room, and they trusted them to kind of be a little more diligent and vigilant about it, and that's just hasn't worked. So now they're forced, or they're put in a position to be like, look, we understand that this might be a lot to ask, but right now, there was 4 games I think postponed this week, and with teams not even able to have 8 players. The season's already shortened. They can't afford too many pushbacks because of the Olympics in the summer. So I understand the league's position where they feel like they need to take more drastic steps. But then you get into a place where it's going to, be a lot harder to really, enforce it. Or you might come to a situation or a place where players might choose to be like, you know what, I don't know if I want to continue playing in the season, or people just don't want to follow the rules because they feel it's too much, or there's issues between the Players Association and the league on a different level and scale. So I think there's a lot of moving parts. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens, what shakes out. Once again, on the one hand, I can understand the players not wanting a lot more restrictions, but from what has happened and what has transpired, I think the league tried to be a little more lenient, and it just hasn't worked. So they're in a position where, in order to try to save this season and it not be like a disaster almost potentially, I don't think it's at that level yet, but to kind of get in front of that, I understand why they feel that there needs to be more changes in protocol. So I think at the end of the day, the league is going to have to get together with the players, and hopefully they can iron out something that, one, leads to better results, that's closer to the bubble, but also doesn't alienate the players, or, messes up the situation too much. At the end of the day, it is a job, it is a business, and we all got to make sacrifices sometimes to have a job in a business, and they are getting paid. And part of the reason that the season is able to continue so they can get their money is because they need to be able to have some level of consistency, some games, some faith that this thing can be saw through to completion. Because once again, there's televised games, network games, all these things are businesses and deals and things that have to be handled. Just because one person might have wanted to bring a groupie to the room, or one person might have wanted to go to this birthday party. And that's why when I was speaking to the Kyrie thing earlier, like I said, I can understand, his family and his third sister's birthday could be more important clearly to him, and that would be fine. But within the protocols of the league, you kind of just got to let people know, all right, well, I'm just going to be away for this amount of time, or I'm going to quarantine before I come back, or, I'm going to take these tests, whatever you got to do, just so you don't have a case where now you had it, you ain't realize someone else gets it, or then it spirals to the whole team, and then the whole team got to be out, things like that. So, I mean, we'll see what gets figured out. I hope they can figure it out, and both sides can have something that is okay, and that the season can continue. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Tom, if you're ready, I'll let you go. If not, I'll just go and you can go after me. But yeah, so I'm gonna take that as a no. You ready?
Yeah.
I go ahead. You go ahead. I go after you. Go ahead.
Yeah. About pertaining to the bubble, trying to go back into a bubble, I see it as virtually impossible. We was in our fantasy group chat earlier, and I said that exactly. There's 60 games remaining in the season. There's no way you're going to take these NBA players. It's one thing when it's 2 to 3 months, but 5 and 6 months away from their families. That's not happening. To stay in one city in one building for 6 months now. This is not 60 days. We're talking 6 months. I wouldn't care how much money you paid me. I wouldn't do anything like that. That was mentally straining on a lot of the players, and I see that as virtually impossible to do again. People have to understand. People gave the NBA a lot of credit compared to other sports on not having a lot of COVID, positive tests in the bubble. But that's why exactly it was a bubble. They only had 8 regular season games. What they called it playing games, but they had 8 games plus the postseason. They didn't have their full army of teams that are normally in the league, so it was kind of a little easier to do. So I can't. And then when teams got eliminated from the postseason, they automatically left the bubble, so it was a little easier. It was a little easier to manage. That can't happen this time because one, you have all 30 teams. There's no way you could do a bubble now because you have all these franchises, all these teams there, and to have people in a bubble for 6 months, that can't happen. But as for the way everything's going on right now, I think this is just a rough patch that was expected. People expected this. I expected this. They were not going to be perfect. Remember, they're not in a bubble anymore. It's just like football and baseball. I remember, I'm a big baseball guy. When baseball first started back, it was a flood of positive tests. There was some guys that was even testing positive before the season even started. So a lot of it was going on. And I don't know if you guys are baseball fans, but there's a franchise, the St. Louis Cardinals. At one point, they had so many positive tests, their team didn't play for 11 days while other teams were still playing. They had to make up those days with double headers. Now, I know basketball is not going to do double headers, but they had to make it up with double headers and catch up on their own. So I've never seen nothing like that. And the NBA situation right now is nothing compared to that because they were like literally 11 days. I remember looking at some team standings and it was like this team was 10 and 11, this team was 12 and 11, and the Cardinals were like 1 and 4, and they had to make it up. So it's a rough patch, like how the baseball had. And as the season went on, you saw less and less people getting COVID in the MLB because they stricken their protocols and then their rules and everything. And that's what the NBA is doing right now. I see that as a plus. People might panic now because there's a few games being canceled and some guys are testing positive. So people are in a panic right now. But I think with the stricken rules, these are grown adults. I think they can handle it. I think they can handle a little no partying because not every NBA player does it. It's a handful of guys that do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit there and act like they don't, but the majority don't go hang out and go to a club every day. So I think they can handle this. They handle the bubble. Some of them handle the bubble. Certain teams handle the bubble for 90 days, 120 days. They can handle a little no partying. At least you're out. At least it's not like the bubble where you're stricken in one area. you're still allowed to, do certain things. You at least you can breathe the air of another city. So I think it's just a rough patch that they can get by, and I see it's something to worry about, yes, but it's not worth people thinking, oh my God, is the season in jeopardy. I think they can get through it because they
Yeah.
did so well with the bubble. I think they can handle this.
I agree. I mean, look, y'all all hit a lot of good points. I agree totally. Bubble is impossible. Too many months. Players already was crying about it before, and no disrespect to them. I understand, like we all said, they're adults, they have lives. But then it comes to a point to me, in my opinion, where it's like you have to look at it. A lot of people always talk about, I got to get the bag, I get the bag. These cats making millions of dollars. Now, we're not even talking about the superstar level cats like LeBron and all those guys like that who making like $40-50 million a year almost. So we're not 40 to whatever million dollars a year. We're talking about some of the lower level cats rookies who just got in the league. Some people not really making that kind of bread. And it's like, what's really important to you? It's the same thing we talked about with like the Dwayne Haskins situation a couple of weeks ago. Was like, look, man, when you get in there, that's just the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to make some level of sacrifices. We all have to sacrifice when we go to work. We sacrifice our time. We have to sacrifice dealing with somebody at the job that we might not necessarily like, or dealing with a job that we might not necessarily care for, because we know at the end of the day, the greater good is we're going to get paid, take care of ourselves, take care of our family. So at the end of the day, it's like, to me, if you guys know you have to get through this season because of the CBA, because of the money that y'all trying to make and continue to make moving forward, then going to a party, going to a strip club, messing with them Instagram girls is probably going to, play you anyway. You know what I'm saying? It ain't worth it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was in their shoes, it ain't worth it. Like, granted, yeah, I want to hang out. We go to a game and I'm playing against one of you guys and I'm like, hey, let's go hang out, go get something to eat. Yeah, that might be a little bit messed up because we in your city. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And to me, I agree with you, Tyron. I feel that with the new guidelines, like not allowing to shoot around sometimes and cutting back on the practices and, all the different things like that will help it. Now, the contract tracing thing is OD. I got hit up by contract tracing earlier last year before Christmas, where my wife, she's working at her job. Some lady at her job had COVID. They contact her, and because I live with her, they contact me and all this other stuff like that. So it is really OD with it. And we didn't have any COVID symptoms. We didn't have any COVID at all, tested negative, everything like that. We were fine. But because we had got contacted, we had to stay home and quarantine, etc. So that is a part of the problem, I think, too, with a lot of these like postponements, because it is guys on these teams that didn't test positive, but they were just next to somebody who was positive. You get what I'm saying? Or they might have been around with somebody who might have been around somebody who might have been around somebody who had it. So that's where it gets kind of complicated. And then with basketball, because they play games so quickly, like I might play the Bulls one night and then the next night I'm playing Memphis, and then Memphis playing New York, is like it could spread like a wildfire. So I guess that's why it's more rapid with ours with the basketball as opposed to like with the NFL and their sport, and even with MLB to a certain degree. And you know what I mean? So it kind of does suck, but I think they're going to get through it. But I agree with Renaldo as well. I think the best thing to do if it really gets out of hand is just to shut it down for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Let everybody get their quarantine in, you know what I mean? Do their testing, and then we come back, hit it hard again, strong with the, updated, you know, protocol. So then that way we all start from that point, and we know what it is. And I know they were talking about the vaccine. That's on them. They're going to do that, and they're going to try to get these players involved with it. But they're going to finish this season by hook or crook. So it's going to happen, and it is what it is. But since we have Renaldo here, you know what I mean, and he has played football, coached it, I wanted to get your opinion on the game last night between Alabama and Ohio State. And then I wanted to ask you, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year? I'm just curious to hear what you have to say.
Well, that beating was expected. No, like I mean, you could clearly look at Alabama and tell they were the best team in the country. You didn't need semantics, you didn't need numbers, you didn't need percentages. You just knew these dudes are better than everybody else. Did you watch the game?
I saw some parts of the game near the end, but I mainly saw like the coverage this morning when they were talking about it.
I caught the fourth quarter when it was damn near over.
Yeah, but even before that, you got running backs arbitrarily jumping over grown men. It was ridiculous out there. I've never seen that level of savagery. But to Ohio State's credit, they were fighting. I mean, like they, I I didn't like Ohio State in that game because one, young teams need to play to get to the maximum potential. I don't think Ohio State was at the maximum potential. One, the starting back got hurt early, and
Mhm.
two, they only played about 6 games.
Yeah.
They played half the schedule of everybody else. So like it's like Baltimore last year when Baltimore was in the playoffs. They got smoked.
Mm.
Most of their guys a lot of their starters are like second year, like or even rookies. They're not ready for prime time yet. They got to learn, especially coming off a bye. Like young teams, young players, they have to play to stay in game shape. Ohio State took too many days off, but to their credit, some of their players really stepped up. You know, I'm happy that Fields played as well as he could.
Mhm.
I'm a little upset about it because he got spared the last game, so he
Yeah.
played hurt. He
Yeah.
didn't get 100% Justin Fields. They lost their running back, and then they had the worst defensive game plan in I don't know, possibly football history. They were scared. They were scared to go man. They had a soft zone, and
Mhm.
they were not challenging the receivers at the line. So you already know Alabama has a speed advantage. If nothing else, Devon, you got to put someone. You got to try to stop Javante Smith at the line of scrimmage because in the open field that man's a problem. No, you let that man get the ball in the backfield, down the field, anywhere in the field they wanted to give it to him, and he just destroyed you guys.
Yeah, man. I saw them highlights. He was just cooking them. It's crazy.
No, it was a terrible defensive plan, and offensively they just couldn't keep up. So, hats off to Alabama. We knew that beating was coming. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I hope hopefully nobody got hurt too bad, and a lot of these guys are going to do well in the NFL next year. Now, as
True.
far as like the Super Bowl goes, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I have no idea
Mm.
because there's so many variables you got to play with, right? Like like say like this weekend we got the grandfather game, Tom Brady versus Drew Brees, right?
Yeah.
Got these two old dudes, where trying to play each other. I fully expect Tampa Bay to win that game because I think that they just have they have more talent on offense, and Drew Brees is nobody's superhero. Like it's been well recorded that I believe that Drew Brees is carried, not carrying the team.
Yeah. I see it in the group. The
No, yo, they be coming for my head like, how dare you talk about Drew like that? Look,
Mm.
man, Drew puts up 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns a year. What they go 7-9 or 12-4. He puts up 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. What does his numbers actually mean to winning? Not a damn thing.
Mm.
It's hollow numbers. No matter what he does, it's hollow numbers. They they need a running game and a defense. Tampa Bay has a good run defense, and I think they'll get at Drew a little bit. And in that game, I trust Tom Brady more than I trust Drew Brees. But on the other side now, the other contender in the NFC I see is Green Bay. I really want to see the Tom Brady Aaron Rodgers rematch in the playoffs. I think Green Bay is the better team. They should win. They should win out.
Mhm.
But Green Bay also has a challenge too because while St. Louis the quarterback stinks. He stunk before he broke his thumb, but now he's trying to play with a broken thumb. Green
Mm.
Bay has a great defense. Jair Alexander is a problem out there. He's a great corner and they have a decent enough pass rush. They play good defense in Green Bay. And and then you got the coach McVay basically trying to play Madden with his bum quarterback with the broken thumb. So, but the thing about it that Aaron Donald in that defense is a problem. If they derail Rodgers, Green Bay has no real answer. It's gonna be a Slavanaka, and like in that kind of dirty game, St. Louis can pull it out with their bum quarterback and his broken thumb. So NFC, I expect Green Bay versus Tampa Bay, and I hope Green Bay edges that one out. But whoever wins that one, it's I think they win the Super Bowl.
Okay, so you don't like the Chiefs or the Ravens and nobody over that on that side.
The Ravens are a flawed team.
Mm.
They're perpetually flawed because Lamar has problems throwing deep down the field, and the thing about it that they're not really playing him to his strengths. Like I was so happy last game when he ran off for that 40-yard touchdown. Because decisive, he took action, he ran down the field, he got it done. The problem with Lamar is that like this season he played a lot of games like Donovan McNabb. I'm talking about the Donovan McNabb that was an alcoholic trying to show people he's a great pocket passer. The dude that wouldn't run to save his life. So I'm like, he's holding on to the ball. He's sitting there with 20, 30 yards of green in front of him, and he's not running. So I'm like, dude, the Lamar Jackson experiment is this, right? Everyone said the Lamar Jackson experiment. The experiment that you have a quarterback that is flawed as a passer, yes, but can he pass? Yes, he can. Can he make all those throws? Yes, he can. But it's consistency. He needs time to set his feet right, to get the mechanics down, to focus on his throws. So the experiment with him is can you utilize all his other talents to enhance his passing? Can you use the quarterback's running to enhance his passing? And I think you can. And when they lose sight of that, they lose sight of the Lamar Jackson experiment. Because now they're trying to make him do what every other quarterback has done. But the whole point, you drafted him because he's not every other quarterback. He's something different. So you have to treat him as something different. You have to call the game like that, and you have to build a game plan like that. So if they go back over there, they start running the ball. They try to throw 30, 40 time out there like his name is Lamar Manning. They're gonna Baltimore's gonna lose.
Yeah.
And not just be damned. I don't see anybody in the NFC stopping the Chiefs
Hmm.
because Baltimore defense is good, but it's not legendary. They're not good enough to shut Mahomes and the Chiefs down. And the way the offense runs, they don't play well from behind, and they don't make a pass as well. So it's Kansas City's game to lose, but I believe when they get to the Super Bowl, whoever comes out the NFC, they got firepower, and they've got the experienced quarterbacks. The experienced quarterbacks are in the NFC because it's either going to be Drew Brees, Tom Brady, or Aaron Rodgers. I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and I think whoever gets in there, it's going to be a shootout,
Mm.
and can Kansas City can do it, but Andy Reid, by slipping his habit, it's on Andy Reid if he mismanages the clock.
Got you.
He mismanages the clock, they're done. The champion comes out the NFC.
All right, Tyrone. I want to get you a quick pick on that as well. On games this weekend.
Okay, let's see. We got Tampa and New Orleans. I'm gonna go with Tampa also. I think Drew Brees is shot. It's plain and simple. He's shot. I don't think he has anything left. I think he's gonna retire after this season too. He doesn't have it anymore. He wasn't playing well before his injury, and he hasn't really done much since. He's not the same Drew Brees from as much as last year. You know, um, I don't like the way they played the past few weeks, to be honest with you. And compared to Tampa, that Antonio Brown Brady combo is getting hot right now, and Antonio Brown is really starting to make strides. And he has Goodwin healthy. Evans, he's always the suspect sometimes, but they still have him. You know, they could dust Gronk off when they feel like if they want to make a big play. They got the good back combo of Jones and Fournette. So I like Tampa in that game, even though it's in I believe it's in New Orleans. So I like Tampa in that one. Green Bay to Rams. Being a 49er fan and an NFC and being a fan of a team in the NFC West, I hope the Packers smoke the Rams. They did me a solid by getting rid of Seattle. I couldn't root for either team because they both play there, but at least one of them had to go. So hopefully Green Bay take care of the other one. We got to see how much of an impact these hurt ribs are for Aaron Donald, because that could be a key for the Rams defense. So I don't know how serious that is. He was hurt in the game. That he had to leave the game, so they don't know. I'm pretty sure the type of player he is and the type of heart he has, he's gonna go out there and play. So he's not gonna miss the game. So we have to see how that goes. But I think Aaron Rodgers, who I think this year is gonna be the MVP, I think he's playing one of the best seasons he ever had. I think with Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and Lazard, I think those guys are gonna really show up in Lambeau. I think they're gonna put the Rams away because again, as Renaldo said, Jared Goff is trash. He's straight doo doo. Like he's doo doo. I don't know what else I could say about it. He's doo doo. He's trash. So, and they got look at those wide receivers they have. How could you not be an explosive offense with Woods and Cup and them like that, and Reynolds and stuff like I don't get it. He's garbage. So I don't believe in the Rams. I think in Lambeau Field that defense is going to be pumped up to play the Rams. Even if Donald plays and plays well against against Aaron Rodgers, I think the Packers could still pull it out, even if Rodgers doesn't have a great game, because I just don't think Jared Goff can be trusted. So that's plain and simple there. Now, so I will say Green Bay, Tampa, and after that, I would say Green Bay goes to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to really get into no matchup details here because we don't know yet anyway. But if you just want a Super Bowl prediction, I'll give you Green Bay out of the NFC. In the AFC, you have Cleveland against Cleveland's playing
Kansas City.
Kansas
Yeah,
City.
Kansas City.
Cleveland's playing Kansas City. They don't have no chance. I don't care if anybody says that's a well-oiled machine. I know that firsthand because they beat us in the Super Bowl. They came back like it was nothing. We were up by 10 in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter, and I was still scared. I was still terrified. I'm like, they have Pat Mahomes and we don't. Plain and simple. He's gonna take care of Cleveland. They can't stop him, and they could try to, but they're not going to. He has too many weapons, and he's very mobile. So, unless barring an injury, Kansas City's winning that easily. I don't even want to talk about Cleveland. I don't care. I think what they did to Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh was shot. After they went 11-0, they went on that losing streak. They lost 4 of their last 5. I think Pittsburgh was shot. I think Ben is shot. They don't have their offense is not that good. Their defense was suspect. I think Cleveland ran into Pittsburgh at the right time. So I'm not buying that blowout as Cleveland being a threat, to be honest with you. They're playing a juggernaut next. I don't give them a chance. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't see it at all. Then the next game, this game I want to see, Baltimore and Buffalo. This one is the one I want to see with 2 mobile quarterbacks like Lamar and Josh Allen. I can't wait to see what defense could stop which quarterback, because that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to that. We all know Lamar is probably the best running quarterback, maybe of all time, or maybe just since Michael Vick. What you got to make Lamar do is pass the ball. You got to make him throw the ball. Last season, when they played Tennessee, they made him throw the ball 59 times. You'd never heard of Lamar Jackson throwing the ball 59 times. So I think if Buffalo could get him to pass, I think they have a chance. With Josh Allen has that beast Stephon Diggs, and he has Cole Beasley, who's a great slot receiver. I think Buffalo has better weapons. I think offensively they're better, but Lamar Jackson is the best player on the field. He's better than either team's player. So if you can contain him, I think Buffalo can move on to play Kansas City in the AFC Championship. I'm predicting Buffalo wins. And, of course, in the AFC Championship, if it's Kansas City and Buffalo, I'm going to go with Kansas City and have a Kansas City-Green Bay Super Bowl.
All right. Hollister and then Malik.
Yeah, Tyrone and Renaldo touched on a whole lot. So I'm going to just pretty much, just give my prediction on the games because I agree with everything they said. So for the Saturday games, LA and Green Bay, I'm going to go with Green Bay because I feel like Aaron Rodgers is determined to get that second Super Bowl. He's been competing hard every year. They had their little drama with the coach, but now they clicking on all cylinders. I see them beating LA with no problem. The Ravens and Bills games, that's gonna be that one is oh man. That's gonna be the tough one. But if I had to pick right now, I would say I got Buffalo winning. Then for the Sunday games, the Browns and Chiefs, there's no way in hell Baker Mayfield is beating Kansas City at no way, shape, or form. I don't care what they did to Pittsburgh, but they're not being Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyrann Matthew, all those other guys. There's no way that's happening. And for the Buccaneers and Saints game, Drew Brees, I like Drew Brees. He's a future Hall of Famer, but he is washed up. Tom Brady is doing this thing with like Tyrone said, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Goodwin, if he could catch the ball next game. And Tampa Bay's defense was doing they're gonna put in that work. Hopefully they can stop Michael Thomas and all those other guys, but I think they could pull it off. So I got Tampa Bay in that game as well.
All right. Yeah. So, like Hollister said, a lot of details was put in there, and a lot of stuff I agree with. But just I'll go through the games and my picks. So, as far as Rams and Packers, I think the Rams, they had a good year, but Aaron Rodgers, he had one of his better years, and he's shown he still got a lot left. And I do think that they've been playing good, and they're in a good spot right now. So I'm definitely gonna go with Green Bay and against the Rams in that game. As far as the Ravens and the Bills, this one is tougher. But I feel like with Lamar Jackson, the Ravens getting over that hump, but not winning a playoff game, I'm gonna like to believe that they could take that kind of, now that they got that off their back, they could step up in a different way and go deeper. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens in that game. Um, as far as the Browns and the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes all day. Baker Mayfield has had an up and down season. They coming along. The Browns are coming along a little toward the end, but I think Tyron was saying, I do think that Pittsburgh definitely peaked at the wrong time, and you don't want to overreact too much to what the Browns did to them, because they didn't end the season strong at all. And I think that translated into, what happened, last week. So definitely, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for that game. And then as far as the Buccaneers and the Saints, yeah, I like Drew Brees. He was okay earlier in this season, but after the injury, I just don't see it. And, the Tampa Bay has so many tools and weapons, and they have had moments where they haven't been their best, but with the weapons they got, Drew Brees after the injury, and Brady, I think they're gonna do what they gotta do to get it done. And as far as overall pick, whoever ends up, my money is still on Kansas City as far as who would win, and I guess we'll see what happens and what teams end up making it. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of good points. Like I said, I watch football casually. I was trying to get back into it, and the Kaepernick thing happened. We already know the story, but yeah. So I hope that Tom Brady loses, still, but I hope he does beat Drew Brees in them. But I do want to see Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I like to see that. Yeah, I think that's just it for me. I think that'll be like the perfect matchup for me to see. I think you have two, the guy that they say is like the future GOAT, not future GOAT, a guy in Patrick Mahomes that's going to be like the future guy now that everybody talking about. And you got Aaron Rodgers, who everybody was like on him when he was doing his thing. So I would like to see that matchup in the Super Bowl, but we'll see what happens. But yes, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening for the podcast. Renaldo, I want to thank you for jumping on, man. I know we kind of missed you at the beginning, but I'm glad you were able to make it. And I definitely want to get you back on here so we can have more conversations with you and talk about different topics and different things like that. I appreciate that. I appreciate Hollister, Melnick, and Tyrone for jumping in. Tyrone, on your lunch break doing your thing. So I really do appreciate that. I want to thank you guys for watching / listening to the podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you would like for us to talk about. Give us some feedback, and enjoy the rest of your day. And God bless.